so small that it doesn't even exist?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or it's so small that it can't exist?
It's so small it still exists, because even though it's so small that we can't see it even with a really powerful microscope, then it can still exist, but we just can't see it.
I think we wouldn't really know, because if we can't see it, yeah, it could be just a theory, and it might be in your imagination, so you don't really know if it exists or not.
A group of sheep are flocks, so maybe that things that are smaller than atoms may get together and make an atom. So maybe it's not the atom that's a thing, maybe a group of things makes an atom.
To add to Rockers, if an atom can't be split, that doesn't mean there's anything small, but that doesn't mean that there's not anything smaller than an atom. So there might be something besides of sheep in the atom, which still and a flock of sheep make it. Yes.
Thank you very much. So just because something can't be split doesn't mean there's nothing smaller. Doesn't mean there can't be something smaller. Is that right?
But you can have something that doesn't exist that has a name, because once when I was younger I made up an imaginary pet and its name was Higgledepop, but it has a name and it doesn't even exist though. It was a kind of dragony dog thing.
It exists in your mind.
Yes.
Oh, just tripped over a Higgledepop. I just tripped over a Higgledepop. Okay. So maybe he doesn't. So, let's think about this. Billy, you said that if we're talking about it as a name, it must exist. Alice thinks that she's thought of something that has a name, but doesn't exist. Key, on the other hand, says, well, it does exist in your mind. So we've got lots of ideas here.
Some creatures that are fictional do exist, but don't have all the features that you think they do. Because dragons, for instance, they do exist, just that they don't breathe fire and have wings.
Things like whatever your dog dragon thing is called, and dragons, they must exist because universe means everything. So in the universe somewhere, they must be there. Because universe means everything.
So, if universe means everything,
Yeah.
somewhere they must exist.
Yeah.
What do you think, even if it's just in someone's mind, or do you mean they must exist somewhere?
Everything. So there must be a red version of us, people who are red, saying the exact same thing.
How interesting.
Well, I've got an argument to prove there's only one universe and nothing doesn't exist.
Go for it.
So look, say, I know the universe is infinite, but say half of this room is one universe and the other half of the room is another universe. When they meet together, they must have a point where they meet. And what's to define that the two universes are different? I mean, they all have the same description. They cover everything there.
Chrissy?
And if, say, the universe was saying nothing was there, the universe must be touching the nothing. And if it's touching it, then it must physically exist. So, therefore...
There is only one universe, and nothing can't exist.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, because nothing would be touching the universe, and that means nothing would be something.
Things like giants, they can be translated because giant just means big, because there's big planets, or you can say giant planets. So that means a person doesn't have to be a giant to be big. It can just be a big person or a tall person. He doesn't actually have to be like really big, because giant people, when you hear people say giant, you think of a really big thing, but it doesn't mean that the thing is really big, because you can have giant ants.
I see what you mean, yes.
They're small, but for their own
for their own
kind, they're big.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Louis, you had something to say about what Keiron said.
Keiron said that there must be a point where the universes meet. So like, so that this is one universe and this is the other. Maybe there's a space between the universes, like there's a space between the atoms.
But then
Because remember the last time we said there was not that many space.
there must be something.
Guys?
There wouldn't be nothing.
Someone said there was space between the atoms, and I don't know who said that. But space between universes, yes. Like in some sci-fi TV programs, you've got like two different universes, and they're not like together. There's like a space between it, and blah 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 blah. But what if that is true? Like you said that the universes. What I got from the universes must meet was that the universes are all really close together. But what if there's a space between them?
But what defines the space? I mean, it's going to have the same definition as actual space because, well, it's the same thing. It's blackish. Well, back in the car, you probably had that one. So basically, space is kind of nothing. I know I've already argued that nothing doesn't exist, but so the thing that separates two spaces, what is that? Would you say? What is it? Is it still space, or is it a floating barrier in space, or an invisible barrier, or what? Because if it was it would have to be infinite as well.
What I'm going to use as an example is a wall. If you have a wall, pretend that the bricks are the universes and the cement is the space that, like, spaces out the universes.
Yeah.
What I get from the impression, what I get from when you said, the impression I get from when you said there must be a point where the universes meet was that, take for example a brick wall, there's no cement. So
It's still a wall though. It's still a wall. It might fall down, but it's still a wall.
I know what I mean, but I don't know if you know what I mean.
Right, can I have the...
I do know what you mean, but it isn't developed argument.
Can I just point out, everyone, that was a really nice example of a proper philosophy discussion, wasn't it? Because they were disagreeing with each other and putting forward ideas, but no one was getting shouting at anyone, and no one was getting upset. They were both just talking in the style. Really nice example of a good philosophy discussion, okay? So well done, you two.